Because he's such a weak little man, Donald has to take a 3-day weekend at Mar-a-Lago so he can schmooze with his fellow fascists at the RNC Spring Gala, while the economy he wrecked continues to unravel, because, of course, he doesn't want to think about such things. Working people, of course, are paying the price. And here is a local report from KFDM, Texas.
New Commerce Department data shows growth started to decline in the first 3 months of this year, a reversal from the end of 2024. Economists attribute it to a surge in imports ahead of expected price increases caused by new tariffs. But President Trump is blaming the numbers on someone else.
That's Biden. That's not Trump, because we came in on January. This is quarterly numbers.
In the meantime, Trump's celebrating at the White House Wednesday with the CEOs of major corporations like Hyundai and Nvidia, who are building new factories in the United States. Tariffs are causing anxiety in a wide range of industries. Coffee importers, whose product is grown almost exclusively outside the United States, are hoping new trade deals come soon.
A lot of people and their businesses are going to be affected, and it brings a lot of anxiety.
Now, in his original comments, Donald's original comments blaming Biden because it's only Q1, he just proves once again that he does not understand how the economy works or the impact that one person's stupid policy decisions can have on what was heretofore a strengthening economy. The manufacturing sector, which is heavily dependent on imported materials, just contracted for the second straight month. According to Reuters, April saw a brutal blow to factory orders, production, and employment. Quote, new factory orders, production, employment stay depressed, and weekly jobless claims increase 18,000 to 241,000. Continuing claims jump 83,000 to 1.916 million. Unquote. It's only getting worse. Port authorities now warn that international imports are about to crater thanks to Donald's tariffs, especially on Chinese goods. That means more supply chain chaos, fewer groceries and household staples for American families. Americans could be looking at empty shelves within weeks. This is terrifying, considering the last time many of us saw such stark images as empty shelves in stores where we always reliably were able to find the necessities we needed was during the COVID pandemic. Now, again, why is this happening? Is this possibly because of something Joe Biden did months and months ago? No, this is because the supply chain is reacting to recent events, the tariffs, the increase in prices, the trade wars, all of which we can lay at Donald Trump's feet. So manufacturers had to adjust accordingly. Corporations had to adjust accordingly. So what did they do? They believed tariffs were going to continue to rise, so they changed the amount of inventory they felt they needed. And China is not feeling particularly friendly towards the United States right now. There is no world in which China is going to continue sending goods to a country that has slapped tariffs in excess of 145% on its products. This week, Donald also took time to remark on the floundering Q1 numbers. Instead of quelling the nation's anxieties, though, he proved once again that he does not understand how these things work, and he does not seem to understand the influence his ill-considered and thoughtless words can have on our continuing worsening economy. Watch this.
In the first quarter GDP numbers just out today, core GDP, now we're removing distortions from imports, inventories, and government spending, was up plus 3%. But this is Biden's economy because we took over on January 20th.
Okay, I've said this many times, but I think it's worth repeating. Yes, during the Biden-Harris administration, inflation was higher than we wanted it to be. Prices were higher than we wanted them to be, but there were reasons for this. We were still reeling from the supply chain issues during COVID. What did he say there to quell the fears of the American people? He just wants us to ignore the bad numbers, pretend that his GDP is fine, and that we cannot believe our lying eyes. That is not how any of this works, though. So while Americans face job losses and rising prices, Donald continues to enrich himself through shaded foreign deals. But before we go on, just remember, please, that Mary Trump Media is completely separate from corporate media. We will never bend the knee, and we are not for sale, and we never will be. We expose the lies the Trump regime tells and wants to bury. Independent media survives because of people like you. So please, if you want to support us and our mission, like and share our videos and subscribe to our channel. Donald's presidency, the Trump regime, is hurting everyday Americans' wallets and having a serious negative impact on their life savings. Meanwhile, he's using his position illicitly to position himself to make billions of dollars for himself and for those close to him. This week, Donald's crypto grift went international, a $2 billion investment deal between Donald's immediate family and World Liberty Financial and the UAE, that's United Arab Emirates, was announced using Donald's new stablecoin, USD1, to funnel money into Binance. You know, the crypto exchange that pleaded guilty to money laundering and sanctions violations in 2023. Yeah, that's the outfit that Donald and his sons are continuing to do business with. How much does Donald and the rest of his immediate family stand to make from this? Here's CNN with a report on those numbers.
A $2 billion deal using Trump's crypto could generate hundreds of millions of dollars for Trump's family. This is according to the New York Times. An Abu Dhabi investment firm is using a crypto coin launched by Donald Trump's private company in the world's biggest crypto exchange. Now, the deal was announced by the White House envoy to the Middle East's son, Zach Witkoff, who is there with Eric Trump.
I have a question for anybody who supports the Trump regime. How is this okay with you? How is it okay with you that somebody you have chosen to be your leader is literally using the office of the presidency and all of the powers that come with it to grift money while tanking the American economy and hurting you and your family? How is that okay with you? This is blatant corruption. Donald isn't just blurring the lines between his public office and his private wealth. He's eradicating it entirely. He is literally using the Oval Office and the President of the United States to make him and his useless children rich. This sends a message to the rest of the world that the way to win influence in the United States is to use his stablecoin. In other words, buy a bunch of these and you will have direct access to the guy who can make things happen for you using the power of the presidency. But that's just the start of Donald's Middle East cash grab. The Trump Organization, which was technically founded by Donald and my grandfather, and is now currently co-run by again, completely useless grifters, Eric and Donnie, just announced a luxury golf resort in Qatar, developed with Qatari Diar, which is owned by the Qatari government. It sounds very cozy to me, actually. But they're not stopping there. Donald is also building the Trump International Hotel and Tower in Dubai, his first property in the gas-rich country, Qatar. These deals violate the Trump Organization's own ethics pledge. Sorry, the Trump Organization has an ethics pledge? I feel like gravity just stopped. Okay, cool. But why bother? Because they're not following it. Because their ethics pledge, again, I'm a little stunned that they have one, specifically bars partnerships with foreign governments. But Donald's in direct business with at least one now, and this is absolutely a perfect example of self-dealing. These violations could lead to fraud charges if investors are misled about compliance. Breach of fiduciary duty by executive. Well, breach of fiduciary duty is actually one of Donald's specialties. So yeah, could have seen that coming from a mile away. And another emoluments clause violations, although I'm beginning to wonder why you even bother having an emoluments clause because Donald's been breaking it since 2017. But the reason for the Emoluments Clause violation is because, once again, Donald is profiting from state-controlled entities. So another question is, how can we trust that our government is working for us when Donald Trump has basically hung out a shingle telling everybody in the world that, hey, if you want a special deal, if you want to just make a deal with me, not to help the American people, but just to help me get rich, I will use the power of the United States government to do any unethical, illicit thing you want me to do. Just pay me. How do we trust that our government is ever going to do the right thing? Because the corruption isn't just staggering, it is complete. Every time you think Donald Trump couldn't possibly sink lower, he does. Because he's not a leader. He's a criminal. He's a grifter. And he is somebody who will sell all of us out just to make a buck. Please take a second and like and share this video. It'd be awesome if you could subscribe to the channel. If you're listening to us in podcast form, please follow us and give the show a 5-star rating because it really does help other people find our content. Thanks.